Before you are a mother, a wife, a friend, a daughter, a sister, and everything else in between, you are your own. And I hope you start to make space for yourself more often.
Welcome back to the Taking Up Space podcast. It's your girl Jessica, and we are currently filming episode 6. Can you believe it's episode 6, guys? Like, we're literally over halfway of the season. I just can't even fathom. Like, but glory be to God. And yeah, so welcome back to the Taking Up Space podcast, where we amplify the voices of individuals who unapologetically take up space. And in today's episode, we're going to be speaking about all things accountability, personal branding, and consistency. And it follows on quite, you know, it follows on very nicely from last week's episode on investing in yourself. You are your greatest investment and self development. And yeah, so I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory on why I wanted to share things about accountability and personal branding. As you know, in today's day and age, how you show up is currency. You know, we are in the world of content creators, YouTube, AI, TikTok, like everything is online, and your online presence and executive presence, as they call it in the corporate world, is very, very important because it's your money maker. So I'll kind of take it easy this episode and just talk about myself and my journey with accountability and personal branding. I have my trusty cellular device. You know, I've got to give you guys the real gist, the real notes. I'm not going to come and tell you rubbish. So, yeah, what is accountability? Accountability is taking ownership of your actions, your decisions, your goals, and being responsible for the outcomes, whether it's good or bad. And one key thing that every time I think about accountability is when people say fail quickly. Um, Being able to take accountability is to know where you have gone wrong. And it's about self awareness, knowing that, okay, you can change things. Um, you can change things and know that if you try again this time around, you're able to do it better or just adapt. Accountability is about knowing when to adapt. So, yeah, knowing that you need to follow through. Accountability is you following through, having a sense of discipline, especially when it comes to goals, you know. So following through on what you will say, what you will do, having that self discipline to make sure you are achieving your goals and saying what you mean. The Bible says, let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. Like, what you say is what you need to be doing. And I'm really talking to myself too, because some days are good, some days are bad. You have to give yourself grace. But being honest with yourself when you mess up or you fall short, and like I said, failing quickly. And one of my favorite quotes is, I think it's from Albert Einstein, where he says, like, doing the same thing over and over is actually madness. It's actually madness. Like, you have to know when to say, okay, this actually is not working, and I need to be honest with myself and change and adapt and just move things around to make sure that the goal is achieved. Being able to check in on yourself, and also being vulnerable and honest, and having people that will also check up on you and also hold you to account that you said you're going to do this. Have you done it? Like right now, I have one of my family members keeps, specifically asking me about one goal that I've set for myself, and he said to me, "You need to get this done," and I'm like, I will." And as of today, it's still not done, but it will get done. I promise you. By the end of this season, it will be completed. Um, but yeah, making sure that you're staying on track, because if you don't hold yourself to account, your goals are for you, it's not for anybody else. And knowing that accountability is also linked up to what success looks like for you in your life. You can only be the one to achieve that. And if you can't realistically be disciplined and be honest with yourself, you will never get to that potential or to that end point of, okay, I feel successful in my life. So, yeah, one of the ways I think 2 years ago that I had to be really honest with myself, and I want to give a big shout out to my life coach, Dior Bendeco. You may have seen her on TikTok, on Instagram. She's such an amazing individual that I've been introduced to, and she runs an accountability program called GAAG, which stands for Goal Accountability Action Group. And I hope I haven't butchered that, but she is the founder and owner of Pepper Your Talk. And in the name already, when we say Pepper Your Talk, you mean what you say. Do you understand? So she came into my life at a point where I really needed people around me, like-minded people around me that will hold me to account and give me a bit of a push and motivation. I feel like most people forget that accountability is also a motivator. And it's not only in like the things like the gym or studying, it's actually in your day-to-day life. Having those like-minded people who want the type of lifestyle that you want or have similar goalposts that you have, having those like-minded people around you helps you just keep moving forward and keep focused. So I joined um her program at a time where I needed it the most, where I was so tired and I knew I had a lot of things that I wanted to tick off. And her program was set up in a way where we checked in with each other every 2 weeks. We also had 6 a.m. calls. And I know to some people it's like, girl, you ain't gotta do all that. But at that time, I needed to. I really needed to do all that. And maybe I need to rejoin now. But I made some great friends. Shout out to Fune and Aklil. I made some really great connections with some powerhouse women. And especially being a black woman, I can only speak from my experience. Um, Having spaces where it's solely just black women and seeing black women achieve great things, especially in the Western world, girl, it is so motivating and it puts a battery pack in your back. It did for me. Um, and we had people like Andrea, who you all may know. She owns KUB, which is a salon and a hair. Um, they sell hair products as well, and she has a successful business in Ghana and in the UK. There are people like Marby's Kitchen. She's like a lifestyle content creator, and seeing those type of individuals who you think have it all together, they are honest with themselves to know that they cannot do it alone. They need that community to push forward to their goals. And they invested in themselves because, y'all, I won't disclose, but if you're serious, you will spend the money. Okay, you will spend the money to invest in yourself. And yeah, Dior was more than a life coach. She became like a big sister to me, simply because she didn't just see you as a number or somebody who is just coming through her program. She actually shared her life, her story, and also was very vulnerable with us in the group. And that made it seem even more real, where you felt like, okay, no one ever actually has it all together. And we all have the mind to just make one step every day, 1% better every day towards our goal. And there was one thing that she said to me in one of our coaching sessions that I will never ever forget is reminding yourself that you can do hard things And that is in the realm of accountability, is being honest with yourself that though some things may be difficult right now, you are more than capable to do it. You are more than capable to achieve these goals. And remembering that other people do not have two heads. Do you get what I mean? Like, they don't have two heads. So you just have to make things actionable, break them down into smaller steps, into smaller goals. And some of the theories that she shared with us, making sure that yes, you can have robust goals for the year, but realistically, as you know yourself, what can you actually achieve? Knowing, okay, what's going on in your finances, what's going on in your work life, what's going on in your family life, what's going on for you mentally, physically, what is actually feasible for you in this year, and aligning your goals with that. And also reducing your goals to quarters. So if you're in the corporate world or finance world, you think about the months in like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. What can you actually do in 3 months in Q1 that will set you up to ultimately achieve that greater goal? So I'll give an example. For me, I don't know why I sounded American just now, but for me, it was one of my goals was to start driving. So what I did was, okay, step one was I needed to do my theory test. Step two was I needed to pass my theory test. So how did I go about that? I made sure I set up time, I scheduled in my diary. Okay, this is when I could study. I got all the resources I needed, even when I needed help, even to the point where on TikTok, that was all of the videos I was watching, because you have to know yourself. I'm a visual learner. So you have to know how you learn, how you take in information. What is your prime time? Like, are you someone who is a morning person, someone who's a night owl? And just make sure that you are creating an environment that is for your success. So, yeah, accountability, honestly, they are people that can um, support you to become more accountable. It might even be in your Christian walk. I know when I was in university, I had my level up team. Shout out to Rachel, Hannah, well, the two Hannahs, Eunice. Um, they were part of my accountability for my Christian walk. And we were able to pray together and just, again, align ourselves to focus on a greater goal, which was at that point getting closer to God, or with Dior, it was my career, being able to say what I'm going to do and actually get it done. So, yeah, I have a few tips that I will share with you all about, why it's important to be accountable and how you can go about being more accountable and starting small, not just, okay, being grand like me and, investing in a life coach, but it might be literally signing up to an online program. It might be shutting down your phone. Like, there's an app called Forest. Like, so if you're in university and you need to study, holding yourself to account to go to the library, setting those reminders in your calendar, but also the app Forest. If you are going to study, Forest will shut down your phone. It will close off all your apps so that you make sure that you are studying at the time that you're meant to be studying. So, yes, accountability is very important because it encourages responsibility. It builds trust, which is really important that you learn how to trust yourself. A lot of us abandon ourselves because we feel like, because we said we're going to do something and we can't do it, or we're too tired, that makes us abandon ourselves. And I think building yourself up and building trust in yourself that you can do things is very very invaluable. I don't think we understand how invaluable it is. It creates a culture of transparency and reliability. When people see that you are very disciplined and you're very determined, they see you as really reliable and they can trust you with things. They can trust you, especially in the setting of work. Um, if you say this is your deadline and you meet that deadline, or you're able to even just be honest and communicate, hey, I need extra time with this deadline, um, promotion might be knocking on the door for you. You never know, because people are seeing that, hey, she actually says what she's going to do and actually does it, which is really good. Um, it improves your performance. And I can really say this with exercising. When you are holding yourself to account when it comes to exercising and being very self disciplined, and then you see the weight dropping off, and don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people love to be on the scale, but it's the non scale victories that motivate you the most, where it's like, okay, I actually fit into my jeans. Like, wow, and you start feeling yourself and you start feeling like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do more. And I can do more. I can do more classes and I can, feel more comfortable in my body. And those are the non-scale victories that just, it boosts you. It gives you more self-confidence. It promotes learning. Accountability promotes learning because you're self-aware. Like I said earlier, you're able to identify where you need to grow, and you're able to be open to feedback. And not all feedback is correct. You have to know who to go to for feedback. And also, um, one thing I always say, and I think it's a Christian thing actually, where we say you take the meat from the bones. You have to line up, and this is where knowing yourself is very important. You have to line up what feedback actually aligns with you and aligns with where you're trying to get to. And remember, sometimes people do project when they give you feedback, but all in all, you should never feel like you know it all. You are always a student of life. So being open to feedback and critique, um, constructive criticism more than negative critiques, so that you can get closer to your goal. And lastly, it strengthens leadership. Again, when you're able to be transparent and vulnerable with people, effectively, you're showing that you are the driver of your life. You are taking a front seat to where you're headed. And honestly, it's very, I don't want to use the word attractive, but it is very attractive to people when they see that, okay, you said that you're going to do this in X amount of months. It may have taken you a bit longer, but the fact that you didn't give up, or you pivoted, it's very, very inspiring to those around you or people that you share your story with. So that is, what I can share about accountability. And again, accountability is not, it's not a final destination. As you get older, responsibilities change and you may have more on your plate, less on your plate. And it's just a balancing game. In life, you will never actually strike the right balance. And that's what I'm learning as an adult. But you continuously give it your best shot. You continuously put one foot in front of the other. And I'm still growing in every facet of my life when it comes to accountability. But the main thing is just don't give up on yourself. And like I said in last week's episode, you are your greatest investment. So you have to remember your potential can only be achieved if you believe in yourself. And that is something where you are the only person that can continue pushing your dream forward, continue wanting to develop and look towards the end goal of the lifestyle that you want to lead, the vision you have for yourself, the woman that you want to become, the man you want to become. So yeah. So now I'm gonna move over to uh personal branding. And this is something where I am also developing more and more into, especially I've learned a lot in the last few years, especially in my career. I've always learned it in the realm of business because, again, being a hairstylist, the product sells. You are your greatest marketing and advertisement. So how I would show up when I would go to places like college was my selling point, how I looked. And it's sad that sometimes we are quite fickle as a society. But essentially, girl or man, you're gonna have to play the game. You're going to have to play the game, especially if you are very ambitious and you know what you want. You're going to have to present yourself in a way. And there is that saying that, you know, dress as you want to be addressed. Okay. And that may not just only be in your physical sense, it might be mentally, how you speak. But essentially, the way you want to be addressed is the way that you need to show up. So on your online platforms, on in your church, in your relationships, how do you want to be addressed? That's how you need to set the tone. So personal branding is really essential, especially in 2025 and beyond, because it helps you stand out. It opens up opportunities for you. Also, when it comes to networking and connections, you're able to be invited to different places. And I know this sounds so bad, but it's the truth. Um, Certain doors only open because of maybe what you know, who you know. So networking, it boosts your online presence, but also just your executive presence. How you enter a room. You know, there's certain people like once you enter a room, once they enter a room, everybody is like, oh, who's there? You know, and not gonna lie, it gives you a lot of confidence in yourself. You don't want to enter a room and cower and hide, you know. It's good to just show up and show up being yourself. So working on your executive and your online presence or your presence when you walk into a room is very essential for you and your self-esteem. Um it clarifies your strengths and your values because as well, I guess when it comes to specifically executive presence, when you're able to speak and be a thought leader and have knowledge in what you do, um people are like, okay, I can rely on her for some insight. I can come to her for advice because she seems like she knows what she's talking about. And most of us, you know, we want to be specialists in the things that we find important and intriguing to us. So whether you are a DJ, whether you are like, for example, Heaven's Talks, they are studio and they they know everything about sound and visuals. They invest the time into knowing a lot about their craft and investing in their craft. So other budding and upcoming DJs or hairstylists feel like, okay, I can reach out to them and ask for help. I can ask them questions because they look like they know what they're talking about. And through the quality of what they show or what they present themselves as, it's their branding and it shows that yes, I can, you know, I can put my money where my mouth is and I know exactly what I'm doing. But you know, sometimes we don't, and when we don't know, we're always curious and intrigued to know more. And that's one thing as well, like I said earlier, always being a student of life um allows you to be intrigued and continuously be curious about how do I do this better or how can I show up better. Oh, the market is changing, how do I also keep up with the times? And you know, there's some people that don't necessarily have to do that. I feel like, you know, there are some powerhouses like, for example, Apple don't need to continue keeping up with the times, but they've set a tone for themselves of how they are able to show up and have that online presence. And they're in a league of their own. You create your own lane. So being close to the ground of your craft or who you want to show up as, and all in all, again, this is tied to what is your um outlook on success for your life? What is your vision and how do you achieve it? Your presence, it intertwines directly with that. So for me, how can I can give you guys like a bit of an insight. So when I started doing hairdressing, I didn't necessarily want to be at the forefront. I'm one of those people that kind of just wants the product or the craft to speak for itself. Um, if God has given you a gift and um, you are blessed with something, you don't want to boast in yourself. You want to boast in God, or you want to boast in terms of when people are able to feel happy with what you've given them or the service you provide. It gives you a sense of pride. Um, so that was how I led with my business when I first started. And then I realized that, hey, again, like I said, I am my greatest advertisement. Like, there's different types of marketing. And I realized, like, guerrilla marketing and word of mouth, your reputation precedes you. So knowing that once you have a good name, you should never spoil it all. Never spoil your good name. And being able to show up how you would want to be treated. So I realized, okay, I am my biggest investment and my biggest advertisement. So I need to show up a lot better. So how I went about it was my branding. My branding had to be on point. I was like, okay, how would I engage with someone who I wanted to do my hair? If I saw them, and again, with hairstylists, it's sometimes so because we're always giving of ourselves to our clients. So you never have a lot of time for yourself. But when you do step out, you step out and you're popping. So that was one of the things that I made sure whenever I stepped out, I looked like the person I wanted to be when it came to my business. And then also my customer service. And I think that is something in our community. And I know as I'm filming this, a lot has happened on social media with quite a few hairstylists. And knowing that customer service, like I said, your reputation precedes you. Essentially, treat others as you would like to be treated, and that's biblical. um so how I would want to be treated as a customer when I am going to a service provider is how I'm going to interact with that individual, even if the person is difficult. Remember, good money is not all money is not good money. So there are signs that you'll realize, hey, this customer may not be for me. You can always signpost them to someone else, or you can just say, hey, we may not align. And that's you being honest. So customer service and being able to be kind, not nice, kind to people, because being kind is you being honest. So that affects your online presence, that affects your reputation. And then also being integral. Oh, a lot of people have forgotten that integrity is worth so much. Once you lose your integrity, once people know you're a liar, or you don't really you say one thing and you don't uphold it, yeesh, it's really hard sometimes to get back to a baseline of when people can trust you. And that's why people like Melissa's wardrobe, like I love Melissa's wardrobe is one of the greatest examples of integrity. um if she doesn't like something, she don't like it, and she's gonna tell you. If she likes something and then it's not that great anymore, she'll come back and she'll tell you. The same with Jackie Aina. And yes, I'm speaking about prominent Black women because obviously those are the people that I follow. But they are people that their word is bond. They don't play with what they say and what they put out online. So it's very, very important that we also take a page out of their book and understand that integrity is worth so much more. Don't be a liar. Okay? Don't be a liar, girl. But yeah, so How I'm now with this podcast specifically, building my online presence is I'm putting myself out there. I am, speaking up about things that are dear to me, but also wanting to leave a legacy. This podcast is based on wanting to leave something for the next generation, wanting to leave something for my generation where we are not only just chasing entertainment, but we're chasing what are the things are the building blocks for our lives. So when we get later on in our lives, and you can always begin at any time. Don't ever feel like you can't start at any time or any age. But knowing that that information is there, and that there's people that look like you that are sharing this information. There's books that are out there. One of the resources I'm going to share today is one of my favorite YouTubers, and she has really uh, encouraged me over the years of me watching her, of how I could pivot, especially in my career, even just mentally as well. There's more, another YouTuber that I follow so dearly that also has encouraged me mentally and how I present myself and how I speak about myself, and how I build my self esteem. Um, and those are the type of people that we may not always see or meet these people in real life. We may not always have these people in our circles, but there is resources, there are books out there, there are networks out there, there are events, like shout out to Everybody Hates HR podcast. I love them, and the way that they're so honest and open, it allows you as a individual to also show up and have audacity on your life. Remember, this is the Taking Up Space podcast. So we're going to take up space, okay? And we're going to take up space in our lanes. So yeah, some of the resources as I'm talking about it. So again, I mentioned Dior, from Pepper Your Talk. There's Albright, which is again like a Albright is basically like a members club for career women. And obviously, I can only speak from a career standpoint, but also from a hairdressing standpoint, there are people like Papa Chichi. There are people like Tresly who create environments and communities for your craft. There's also like Soho House for creatives, trying to allow yourself to get into those type of rooms so that you can network, and you can also meet like-minded people who you can chat, you can talk. So one of the YouTubers that I was referring to is Karine Allured. I don't know how to say her last name, Allured. She's Haitian. And her YouTube is Karine Allured, Mental Gems. And I'm telling you, she be dropping a lot of mental gems, and it's definitely uh helped who I am right now. Then Adam Malona, shout out to you. She is really, really inspirational. And recently, she actually had an event. I wish I could have gone, but the ticket sold out. Like, and these are the things that happens when people trust your word. Like Melissa's Wardrobe posted something this week. I think she's doing like a sale, a wardrobe clear out, and within an hour, all the tickets were gone. And that's because people know, okay, she buys quality, she's not going to give us ratty tatty things, and I can trust Melissa, right? So people like Melissa, people like Michelle Duff. She's a doctor, also a psychologist. She's also a Christian. She's also related to Jackie Aina. And her YouTube page as a Christian, there's in last episode as well, I highlighted Kobe Campbell. These are women who are taking up space in their own right. There's Nidra, a lot of people that honestly, I know it's hard to build your community. It's never easy. But guys, once you get it's like Avengers. What's his name? Thanos. Once you collect those rings, right? Once you collect those rings, you are building and fortifying yourself to become that individual. So yeah, personal branding, I think you have to always remember that, yeah, it's very clear for you to stick to a routine, stick to knowing what you are trying to portray yourself as, respecting yourself, being able to have progress and have something to show for your progress. So they all work in tandem, and I hope this really made sense today. I'm kind of just going off script a bit and just sharing from my own experience, but like I say every episode, um, I'm gonna ask y'all some questions and also answer them myself. Um, but if you had a personal, so question one, if you had a personal theme song, what would it be? And does your daily life match that vibe right now? Um, hmm. My my personal brand theme song right now in this season would be Greatness by Vaughn, and I think Destra is on it. It's a soca song, and it goes greatness, 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 greatness. Oh yeah. And I just think this year is a year of greatness for me. And am I living up to, does my daily life match that right now? I would say yes, it's beginning to. I'm taking steps every day. I think definitely in Q1, what I said I was gonna do, I sure did do it. I sure did do it. And I had good people around me. Shout out to my friends, Tats and Jazz. Shout out to Elizabeth, to Pearl, to my cousin Toss. Like, having good people around you, holding you to account. I was able to successfully complete my goals for Q1, and honestly, Q2, I'm putting what do they call it? Pedal to the metal. Yeah, I think don't quote me, but I'm all gears right now. No one is. I'm not letting up. I really don't want any distractions, so I'm just gonna keep focus. And Q2 is also gonna be successful. I know it. Um, so yeah, I would say my theme song is definitely matching my daily life a little bit right now. Um, on the scale of 1 to I've got receipts, how accountable are you when no one is watching? Whoa. I would say I'm like, right now I'm like a 5. I'm like a 5 or 6 when no one's watching, because I have to hold myself to account. I think some days are better than others. And knowing that also I'm a human being, not a robot, every day is not going to be 100% productivity. And I have to actually just accept that. But one thing that, like I said earlier in today's podcast, is 1% every day is still moving forward. Even resting is still moving forward, because if you burn out, then you can't do anything. And realistically, we're trying to avoid, but not avoid, but we do not want burnout. Burnout is not good. So yeah, I would say right now, comfortably, I would say 5.56. Yeah, not a 5 actually. 5.56. And definitely feel like I could be a lot better, but every day I'm growing, I'm learning. So yeah. And last question is, imagine your future self is your accountability partner. What advice would they give you right now? Ooh, that's a really good one. um, I would say the advice I would give my future self is, and actually, this is advice that I actually is my WhatsApp display picture. It's follow the mood, not the plan. Um, Emotional regulation is very important, and knowing that sometimes your mood is not going to be in alignment with what the overall plan is, but you have to shake it off. And my friend Jasmine, actually, I spoke to her today, and I was like, she posted something on her story, And it was sometimes motivation is not there, but the discipline, the self discipline to know that this is your goal and this is what you're going to achieve and this is what you need to do, um, is what is the driving force. Like, your morale may be low. And yes, there's days where you're going to have to encourage yourself. And my mum used to say this to me all the time, that David encouraged himself. There is days where it's going to be tough, but knowing that the plan is to get to where you're going or to achieve this goal, that is your driving force. And some days you're not going to feel like it, and that's the honest truth. But at the end of the day, being honest with yourself and knowing where you have to take a break or take a holiday, go see some family, pour back into yourself, maybe say no to some priorities, um, maybe say no to some people on some things. Um, and also reintroduce yourself to people. I think that's actually what one of the things now that I'm doing a lot more is reintroducing myself to people, because people know me a certain way, but now as I'm continuing to grow, I've changed, I've evolved, and sometimes that does hold you back in terms of like your follow through and your emotions, because some people want you to still be the same and you're not, and that weighs on you, but you have to let that go and reintroduce yourself so that you can keep going to that greater goal. And they can be aware that, hey, you know me as this, but I'm not that anymore. And this is where I'm going. So I kind of need to realign myself and use my energy in a better way. So, yeah, make sure you guys answer these questions and interact in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts and your experiences and your answers to these questions too. And yeah, like I say every episode, this is a community. It's not just a podcast. I want to hear from you. So every episode, I will share one thing that I'm grateful for. And oh, what am I grateful for this week? I am grateful for um, new friends, new connections, new networks, new opportunities, and people that I've met in my life who have gotten me to this point. So my mentors, my confidants, my advisors, my pastors, my siblings, my friends who I've been able to call on. I'm so grateful for you. And if you're watching this, I love you. I love you. But yeah, I'm just grateful for these people who have really impacted my life in such positive ways. And yeah, I wish them all the best, and I wish that they also meet people that impact them, and I hope I'm also impacting them in positive ways as well. And yeah, I ensure that you guys also leave your what you're grateful for in the comments as well. And make sure you look out for next week's episode. You can find me on all social media platforms at JXAde. And yeah, always remember that you are loved, you are valued, you have a purpose in this world to take up space. And next week's episode, we'll be talking about advocating for yourself with grace and everything to do with the mind. So, yeah, stay tuned and see y'all later.